So welcome to today's Rev Up, Travel and Power in Revizto. My name's Rhys and I'm Business Development Director at Revizto, and I'm really excited and pleased to share today's guest speakers and excited to hear their stories. So thank you firstly for taking the time out of your busy days to take a look at what some of our clients are doing with Revizto within their organization. So first things first, let's just check that you can hear me okay and see the screen okay. So if you've not used Zoom before, there's a few things you can adjust, your audio preferences, and there's also a question pane as well. So why don't we just check that you can hear me? If you don't mind just typing in the company that you work for or the area that you live in the chat log now, we'll then continue. So my colleague Sasha is also on the call as well today, so he'll be monitoring your questions. So feel free to ask them throughout the course of the presentations, and we'll either answer in the chat or take them after each session. So perfect, all over the place. So we've got some people in from London, Australia, Manchester, fantastic. So everything's working. Thank you, everybody. So today's session, Travel and Power in Revizto, we've got talks from Royal Haskonian DHV, Casey Rutland and Toby Wilcox, followed by a talk from Prague Airport. And we've got Daniel here today, head of VDC, that will be sharing their experience with Revizto with you today. So you know who I am, or if you don't, there it is. Going through the list, first up, hopefully is Royal Haskonian DHV. Toby's just leaving a meeting to be with us. And so Casey, maybe we can do a few introductions when you start your presentation. So Casey's Director of Digital for the UK and wears a couple of other different hats as well. I'll leave him explain more. Toby is one of the team using Revizto on a number of different projects, and we'll be showcasing a live demonstration of Revizto in their session, followed by a talk from Prague Airport, and that's Daniel, head of BDC. Hence, the title today, Power and Travel in Revizto, and we'll get into more details shortly. So I want to take questions after each session if we can, and if we have time, we'll take more at the end of the session. So for those of you who don't know Revizto, we continue to grow rapidly right across the globe. This is just some of the names of clients of ours. Globally, there's hundreds of thousands of users. So lots of people in the construction space that are either designing, constructing or operating assets. And they can range from buildings to airports to infrastructure and so on. We offer an integrated collaboration platform, which is quite a diverse tool that offers construction teams the ability to communicate, collaborate and coordinate project-based tasks in real time. And I'll leave the team dive into how they're using Revizto for their specific needs. So why use an integrated collaboration platform like Revizto? With that in mind, I'll hand the mic to our guest speakers today. So first up, we have Casey. So if I stop sharing my team and Toby. So is Toby with us now? It looks like he's
here. Yeah.
Toby is with us, yeah.
Hi, Toby.
Just my camera on, sorry about that.
That's all right, mate. I know everyone's busy, so welcome, Toby. I'll stop sharing my screen here now, and it'd be good if you guys could give me quick introductions, and I'll hand the screen to yourself, Casey, to start with.
Thank you, Rhys. Hopefully you can all see and hear me, both the presentation and my video. Okay, so my role here today is to do a quick introduction to both Royal Haskonian DHV and the case study that Toby will be running through in a little bit more detail, but really about our use from a strategic or management point of view of Revizto. So I'll run through just introductions. This is me. Historically, I'm an architect. My core role at the moment is UK Director of Digital for Royal Haskonian. But I think, as Rhys said, I do wear other hats also. I'm the Vice Chair of the UK BIM Alliance, Chair of the UK and Ireland chapter of Building Smart, and the founder of BIM Open Mic events, which once we're allowed to will happen again very soon. You can find me on Twitter at Casey Rutland. Follow me, and I'll apologise, as I've already done once already on this call, for anything you see on Twitter from me. Joining me today is Toby Wilcox, as Rhys has said, who's one of the lead digital technicians working on the Avonmouth project and one of our core Revizto users and champions, if you like, seeing and proving to other parts of the business, other projects, exactly what can be done with Revizto. So the project case study that we'll be running through is Avonmouth ErF, Energy Recovery Facility. This is a facility near Bristol in the UK that turns waste, refuse, garbage, rubbish into electricity, energy. So it's fairly complicated once you get into the guts of it, whilst being quite a simple building on the outside, trying to coordinate, create design coordination exercises and deliver this in a way that's as slick as possible. If we look at trying to do this in traditional methods in 2D, you could almost call it negligent. So we need to make sure that we're using the latest tools to make sure we're checking, reviewing and approving, coordinating properly across the project teams, both internally and sometimes externally with clients and other stakeholders. So it's really key that this tool both enables us to work remotely, as is quite important these days, but also enables us to transmit and communicate in the right ways the information that we need to consider at the right stages. So with that in mind, we're going to run through very quickly some of the useful things that we get through the use of Revizto, the project dashboards, progress reports, and team management. But before we dive into that, I do want to address something that's, as part of our role in the UK BIM Alliance, dealing with numerous different organisations around the country, we do see still a massive focus on clash detection, and actually relatively little on design coordination. They are two very distinct exercises. Something can be completely clash-free, but actually an awful design. So we do need to make sure that things are coordinated in a way and are right in both in terms of its use, and if it's a building that needs to look beautiful, then it looks beautiful also. But it needs to work properly and be constructible in all of those different aspects. So I have a totally non-scientific formula for this, is that clash detection plus design coordination and all managed properly will give you the results that you're looking for. So better design quality, better data and information quality, which is becoming more and more relevant with all of our clients. Reduced waste, both in time, effort, money, cost, and all of those things, and generally better outcomes. And with the tools that we use these days, and Revizto is part of that stack, is that the clash detection that we do is the right clash detection at the right time relative to the project. And that's quite an important thing also. Again, people who dive into their first foray into a BIM process will often clash everything against everything, or one model versus another model. And that really doesn't get you the right result. What it does get you is a lot of clashes, and they're not necessarily the right ones that you need to be dealing with at that time. So it's important that we have the ability to, whilst we're in the clash detection mode, is to create the right rule sets and things that allow you to use the pertinent information that you have and get the design resolved at the right stages. Then you've got the design coordination issues. So this is another one of those things that Revizto has enabled us to do, is to, because of the user interfaces, it tends to be a bit easier for people to adopt. It democratizes the model, the data, the information. So it makes it available to the right people. And these aren't always the young tech savvy people. They're the more senior people who have a lot of design experience and coordination project management experience. And they're able to interrogate the full model with ease and see whether things are right or wrong. These are people that have been in the industry for many, many years and just know whether something looks right or wrong. It might not actually be a clash, but it enables these design coordination issues to be logged, tracked, dealt with, assigned to various different people. On the management side of things, again, those senior people who are doing the engineering side might not be the same people doing the management. And with the ability to create real-time graphic reports, it enables us to see how far along the design process is, or how much work there is to do before a particular deadline. Or indeed see whether particular members of the team are overwhelmed with a large number of design issues to resolve. So we can start to reapportion those to various different people. And that's, again, one of those key things that if you're not using a tool like Revizto, then those things are generally hidden. People aren't forthcoming when there's too much work for them, or when they're overworked. So this enables that to be seen. It makes that information visible, and enables that management process to happen more smoothly. And then the last thing is, who doesn't want better design quality, better outcomes? It's what all of our clients are after. It's what all of our internal design teams are after. We don't want to be creating work for ourselves. We want to be creating better solutions and outcomes for our clients, but we want to do it in the most efficient way possible. And that's what it is we're looking to achieve. And Revizto allows us to manage the access, the visibility, and the ability to do certain things within the team. And we've been working with Revizto for, I think it's almost 2 years now. Now our enterprise agreement is up for renewal, as Rhys warned me earlier before this session. Yeah. But it's there, and it's absolutely there. It's being used, I would say, more actively in the UK, but certainly around the world in our global offices, particularly these days, to enable this process to actually happen smoothly and succinctly. And being able to see, as I said, just seeing the situation that we're in right now at any one particular time with these design coordination issues, seeing what's active, seeing how far we've come and what we've dealt with so far. It's not always a negative thing just to say, see what's left to do and see what work is to be done, but actually seeing where you've come from is a really good thing to be visible as well, if only for the sanity of the team. And what we've also seen is other uses. I don't know whether I'm inviting other people to find other uses for Revizto, but certainly within the organisation, we're using quite lightweight information on the system that then enables our staff to go to site to do site inspections, to do condition reports using standard forms and create reports, add data into various different things, create data collection to add to our virtual representations. It's not live data, but it's the right data at the right time, which fits in with the Gemini principles and the definitions of what a digital twin should be. So we're getting, in some instances, automatic data collection, but through this process, using Revizto, static data collection at various different key points, and that is absolutely vital. But then asset management also. We're working with some clients and talking to them about how they might use, I think it's because of the simplicity of the interface of Revizto, that they actually use this tool for whole life asset management to enable their teams to be on site and active in the field, managing the assets and getting to the information that they need. And what we do within RHDHV, we always try and take a human-centric approach to the digital transformation. So it's not just applying technology, it's understanding where we need to change the processes. So we're creating added value, not just added technology, through this human-centric approach to digital transformation. And whether it's starting at a point where we're sharing models and viewing things and doing the coordination, or whether it's seeing how far the progress report is, or right the way around to doing asset management on site, these are part of the core uses that we have. And I know this is titled 5 uses of Revizto, but there are 7 on screen right now. We just keep finding more and more uses for tools that have quite a small specific use in certain areas, and we're managing quite well. So with that in mind, taking this knowledge-driven digital transformation through, I'd like to hand over to Toby, who's going to run through some active parts of the Avonmouth project for everyone to see. Over to you, Toby.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen. Or work out how to share my screen. There we go.
Nothing yet. There's that little arrow. You're in. Perfect.
And there we are. So this is our project, which we were employed by a contractor to produce their final coordination installation model. So we took another consultant's model and worked it from an earlier stage through to the final production of their drawings while they were on site. And so did all the measured drawings, did the calculations where we needed to, and then did the coordination, which obviously a great chunk of that was clash detection, but there were other items we solved, which I'll try and display a bit today. So one of the main parts that we used of the software was the issue tracker, which we found to be a really handy tool for sorting through problems, assigning them to different people, and we found this was a much more intuitive and useful tool than, say, the Navisworks one. So we'd produce our clash detection within Navisworks, but it was very difficult to actually understand what real world implication we have. We'd run a clash detection and we'd have 1,000 clashes, but it was difficult to interrogate and work with that and create a plan, which is what Revizto has really helped us to do. So we can organise our clashes and problems properly by whatever area, then whatever zone, and then we can assign people to those clashes or those issues. We can track where we are with them, and rather than just having to rerun the model again, we can actually see within it how people are getting on. We can tell them when they need to be done, and then they can say when they've completed it. So from a project management perspective, that was amazingly helpful and saved us a lot of time and then money on the projects. One of the great bits about that was the reporting and dashboard side of things. So from Revizto directly, we can pull out these little handy pie charts and bar charts just to give us an idea of where we're at, what we've got, and who is doing what, which I think was quite an important part for me. So we can see who on the project is loaded correctly, overloaded, and then work around that to get people where we need them to be on the job. So we can hit our deadlines and we can get things constructed in time, because we were working on very tight timescales for this project. And then we can see where each of the issues is occurring. Then we can try and work out what we need to do in that area, which was, again, a great use to us, but also to our client and then the wider construction team. And just so we're not focusing on the clash detection, we actually use this software from a CDM perspective quite massively, and that was really helpful for us. So the job itself is a large energy plant, and we have certain areas where you might have 40 meters of nothingness below you or before you can work on an area. And so we were using the software to conduct external reviews with the builder, the contractor we were working for, and then the original consultant to actually work out what the other solutions were to problems that we were finding as we went around. And it gave people a very good, easy to see, easy to understand view on the model. So rather than having to physically go on site, it was a lot easier, a lot quicker, a lot better for us. And so that in itself is just saved money and saved potential for damage to property and people, which is a key issue. There's also the very useful 2D overlay feature, which I'll show off now, because I think what we've appreciated is that while we, as Casey puts it, tech-savvy modelers, we can look at a model and we can understand where we are within the building, what we're showing to people. For people that are either less familiar with the project or just generally less used to looking at things in a 3D environment, it was very difficult for them to understand either what we're trying to show them or why we're highlighting an issue. Because they may look at a drawing and say, oh, we've got a light there or a piece of cable tray, and that's fine. But actually, when we can try and show them a model, but they still don't get a full appreciation of what they're looking at. This tool was very good at bridging the gap, because we can show them on a 2D plan and also within the 3D in the same space what the item is and why it's going to cause them a problem. And so this was handy across the extent of the project, just to really hone into like the issues and the aspects for those people. And it clarified for us a lot of early misunderstanding as well. So while we were in the early stages of the project and people are less used to it, we could very quickly zoom to an area, get resolution on problems. So we would cut our model review and sort of validation side of things in time in half, which was a massive benefit to us on such a large scale project. So what this tool does is it just overlays the 2D drawing on a 3D environment, which at its core is just such a wonderful little thing, because I think there is often a detachment between the two, between producing a 3D and the final output of a 2D model. This kind of bridges the gap between the two and makes things easily viewable and identifiable, which is really good. The other aspect that we found nice was the viewpoint, which actually shows you where items are. If you're looking at a project as an overall, it can be very difficult to understand where your issues are. So you can run your clash detection, or you can identify issues, whether it's a clash or more of a soft issue. But using the tools and using the this issue's visibility, we can see where problems are, what types of problems they are, and the status of them. So from this zoom in here, we've got a few solved clashes. There's an outstanding clash there, but we also have these other tags, which are sort of manual tags that we've added in, which highlight a specific instant, specific problem or incident. And that allowed us to sort of fly through the model and more quickly see where we're getting the issues, which we've found good. And this is an example of another part that the case brings up, as this isn't a clash that we have. These are removable handrails, which we need to make a note of, but so we can understand that that is going to be a problem, but we don't have a physical item clashing with it. So if we were to mount a light fitting around that area, it provides a problem but doesn't provide a clash. So it allows us to get that deeper understanding of how the building will be used to allow us to design it better before they've started installing handrails or installing the lights and then realise there's a problem, and then would lead to more cost to rectify that than if we can just review it now, get it sorted, before they even get onto site with that, which really does, it's those little things where we might only save £500 per issue. By the time we've added them all up, we've saved thousands to millions, was our experience of it. And going back to the 2D, you could also see those issues on the 2D plan if you are less comfortable still with navigating a 3D model. If you're a bit more old-fashioned or you're just not as experienced with the software, this gives a good bridge and a good way of understanding that, and displays it in quite a clear, precise view for everyone, I think. And what we also did as part of it was using the reporting and dashboards function. You can actually export reports from Revizto directly, which was really good, and really helped us to convey to our client and the builder as to why we were putting in extra time and extra changes. So it wasn't stopping us having to do the changes, but it was a good justification for why we were doing it, and why when our bill came in at the end of the month and it said we've got an extra £5,000 worth of work, it justifies that way. So it gives another reporting tool and another bit of analytics that you can more easily show to people the issues and get validation and justification for it. So from an accounting point of view, that was really effective and really useful for us. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. They were the kind of the main ways that we were using the software. This will just show a quick version of the report that we get. And so it actually gives you the same information that you pull out of the model. So it gives you the assignee and the reporter, which gives us more accountability within our project. And also gives a status of what we've closed, what we've got open, which was good. So we could say by the end of the month, we've closed 500 issues at £30 an issue. So here's a cost figure for us. So it's either a cost saving for us, or it's a billable quantity that we can actually work against, which is always a very useful thing that we need on a job. I think without that, our costs would have spiraled way out of control if we didn't have a mechanism where we could manage it as easily or as effectively. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. So thank you, Toby. There's no questions, but doesn't seem to be any questions on the chat panel. But if anyone's got any, they can chip in there.
I've got one.
We'll have a think and we'll answer them afterwards as well.
Yeah, I think, yeah, just a question, but sort of something you didn't mention at the beginning, which I think would be worthwhile people sort of understanding the journey, because, well, for those of you who don't know Royal Haskoning, you know, when I first started working with the company many years ago, as a company, Casey, how many people are you?
Oh, around 6,000 around the world.
Yeah, so quite a big shift of people to steer and sort of to change the way people are working and using technology. So something, an initiative that Casey started, was it 2 years ago? The digital sort of expos, how you were going on the office.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think a question, I suppose, how did that work, and engaging people to understand what technology was available for them to use to work more efficiently? I think that would be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they did work quite well. We're still seeing the benefits of doing those, and for the people that have joined the call, we decided that a lot of people within the company were becoming digital blind. So actually what we thought we'd do is to take some representatives of various different companies that we're either working with or want to work with, from software solutions, from process solutions, or project case studies. And we traveled up and down the UK and just hosted some digital expos to basically put in front of the staff, literally in the reception, in the meeting rooms that they had in various different offices, and show them what various different softwares and tools that they had available to them, and what it could do for them on a daily basis. And it did work. It worked quite well. We did get an initial spurt of activity from various different people just adopting different processes and technologies. But then that continued. So at a slightly lower level, but it continued and is continuing. So we're actually doing, in a couple of weeks, another virtual one of those that's a global event. So it's not in person, obviously, because we can't do that now. But it's a virtual version of exactly the same thing. So yeah, very, very helpful way to do things, to literally put things in front of people so they can see it with their own eyes.
Thanks, Casey. A couple of questions are starting to come through now. So is the clash detection report generated automatically within the Revizto environment? So one with Toby, I guess.
So the clash detection is done within Navisworks. So there's still
the reporting, I think it was, Toby.
Yeah. So the reporting is done from the dashboard. So you can directly get to it from Revizto. So you just click this button here, opens up a web page, and you have access to either your existing reports or to add new reports as you want. And it's very simple. You can filter by any of the conditions within the model, because there's such a rich amount of data within the model, either from Revit itself or that you put into Revizto. There is a lot there that we can filter around, and so it doesn't just have to be something as simple as we want clashes from a certain test or resolved issues. You can really drill down into items you want, whether it's done on tags or any other sort of parameter within there. It gives a really good reporting level of customization, so you can tailor that report to however you need to show it off, and to what information you need it to convey.
So the clash detection is done in Navisworks and the clash management in Revizto, is that correct?
Yeah,
Toby?
yeah, exactly. Because yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions come through there, Sasha? But sort of adding to that point, the important point made by Casey at the beginning is we can now, talking about our integrated collaboration platform, it's not just about Clash, it's about bringing all of those project tasks effectively into one place. So you can start to produce these holistic reports, as Toby sort of explained. So any more before we move on to Daniel?
Yeah, we have one more question from Jared. Did you push the clash IDs from Navisworks reporting into Revit via Dynamo?
We didn't. Our Dynamo usage at the time was a lot lower than it is now. So we could do something like that now if we needed to, but we didn't at the time. What we did use, which I can't unfortunately display properly because the model's stored on our server, and now that we're working from home, I can't actually get to it as easily, is Revizto, sorry, has a really useful switchback functionality to Revit, which works a lot better than the built-in Navisworks one. So if we're in a clash 3D, you can actually just click through and double click the issue and it opens the model and a relevant view.
Yep.
So you can very quickly as a modeler see the issue and go and fix it.
Absolutely. Or we can show that, Toby, later if you want. That switchback as well works across lots of different tools. So Revit, AutoCAD, Navisworks, MicroStation, 2D as well. So yeah, well pointed. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, conscious of time, so that's bang on the 30 minutes. I stole more time at the beginning than I should have done. So yeah, any more questions, we'll take those at the end. So yeah, that moves us nicely on to yourself, Daniel, at Prague Airport. So interesting points there, how sort of the gentleman discussed the various uses of Revizto and engaging the client. So it's nice now to actually have a client talk about how they're using Revizto, the challenges and what they've been doing with Revizto. So, hey Daniel, how you doing?
Hello everyone. Hi Rhys, thank you for having me today.
Pleasure.
I hope you can hear me well.
Yes.
See my screen?
We can. Perfect.
Great.
The floor is yours, Daniel.
So let's start with a brief introduction. So once again, my name is Daniel Smejkal. I work as a head of BDC team at the Prague Airport. For the beginning, I have a brief introduction for our airport. So we are located in the center of Europe, Czech Republic. We're a smaller sized airport. You can see the map of our grounds. So we have 2 runways, 2 public flight terminals, Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. Plus we have 2 smaller terminals for non-public flights and government flights, things like that. The amount of passengers handled the last year was nearly 18 million. And last year, This can tell you a little bit about the size of our airport. Of course, during this year, there has been a significant drop in air traffic, which also was a reason why we started working on a project that I'd like to show you today. We started using Revizto at the beginning of this year, February, if I'm not mistaken. And funny thing is, initially we intended to use Revizto for completely different use cases than the one I'm going to be showing you today. We had a few upcoming design and construction projects being carried out by our contracted designers and construction companies. But things with the coronavirus situation and the lockdown in spring this year led us to start another project, which was the decision to create a digital twin or asset information model of our terminal buildings. So we decided to map our Terminal 1, which is a building that was built in 1968. And of course, with a building of this age, the documentation can be a bit outdated. To the existing documentation of this particular building was our internal GIS system, where we keep our floor plans, layouts of the buildings, room information, many other things. Many technologies are documented in GIS, but there are also technologies that don't have any GIS documentation, such as ventilation, heating, cooling, and so we decided to map this and create a precise model that can generate an up-to-date documentation. Since the construction of this terminal in 1968, of course, there has been many constructions, renovations. So the existing documentation was fractional. We don't know, for many technologies, we didn't have a complete set of documents, and it's fractionally divided into parts coming from projects and constructions. So the goal of this project was also to unify all this and create one source of information for the building, and for future possible integrations with our systems like GIS, as mentioned, or future use of CAFM system facilities and maintenance. So we decided to just use Revizto for this project for a very clear reason, that it's a platform that can aggregate many types of different data in one place, and then the data can be used easily for working in the office and creating the Revit models. What was our initial input data? As I said before, it was some drawings, and we created a very simple Revit model just to have a coordinate system and the spatial arrangement of the terminal. We started with one part of the terminal, Pier A. We imported PDF drawings and created the basic space. So basically, the basic 3D model only had columns, floors, walls, rooms, and that was basically it. And we needed it for being able to assign some 3D space or 3D information for the imported drawings, which you will see later in a live demonstration. Once this was done, we started collecting data straight in the field using Revizto app on the iPads, which usually was done by a technician maintenance together with a VDC specialist using Revizto on the iPad app. And also we were using 3D scanning, 3D laser scanning, using the Leica 3D scanner, and importing the point clouds to Revizto. With the Revizto app, we were making a record for every asset discovered. So basically, every air terminal, every lighting fixture, and so on, we put into Revizto as a stamp, and we put extra data to it, like photo documentation, other properties, the current state of the particular device, and so on. We are also using the 360-degree camera, which together with the point cloud makes a very clear and nice information for the future Revit modeling. So as I said, these data was all used as an input to Revizto. We also had some non-graphical information, for example, an Excel spreadsheet. So once all the devices got their record in Revizto, after that, we created a record in a new Excel spreadsheet and put extra non-graphical information, properties or attributes to it for later import into Revit. So the resulting Revit model would contain all the information. Last thing that was very helpful for us in Revizto was the real-time reporting, which basically allows us to keep track of what has been done. As you'll see later, we assigned some meanings for, the status of the issues inside Revizto, which you can see on the right side of the presentation here. So open issue means the data has been collected in the field. In progress issue means the device was transferred into the Excel spreadsheet. When it's solved, we have completed all the properties and collected all the properties for the device. And once we close it, we know that the device has been modeled in Revit and all the properties have been filled in. So we can keep track of how many devices from different technologies we have completed so far and what is left to do. So let's switch to a live demonstration on Revizto. Here I will start with how exactly we started. So at the beginning, we created stamp templates. If you're familiar with Revizto, probably know what stamps mean. If not, I will explain later in the Q&A session. So what we created was a stamp category for each technology. I'm sorry that it's in Czech, but I will translate what is necessary. There's no need to understand everything in the text. For example, this stamp category means ventilation. And for this category, we created a stamp template for each type of device that the technology contains. So for the ventilation, it can be air handling units, air terminals, and so on. Also, we created templates for errors in the existing documentation. So when we took the documentation and the drawings to the field and we discovered something was wrong, something doesn't look the way it is built, we also used a stamp to mark it and a markup to draw the real existing condition straight in the iPad. So the next input was 2D drawings. Looking like this. So when we first got into the field, starting collecting data, we could see our drawings. This is a drawing of a HVAC or a ventilation system, the terminal, and we started putting stamps into these 2D drawings. Of course, the 2D drawings needed to be assigned to the 3D model, so that whenever we create a stamp, it gets it right coordinates in the 3D space. And as for the records themselves, I can show the issues or the stamps using filters. So now I have a filter in my issue tracker, which turns on only the ventilation issues. So here we can see all the records that were made for the ventilation. And in the chat panel of the issue tracker, we were putting extra information. So if there was any information that could be put here, we tried to do so, which was, for example, airflow. We also usually measure airflows of all the terminals. We're putting photos taken straight from the iPad.
I saw you had some 360 examples as well there, Daniel.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know if you're...
Okay, I'll switch the filter to the 360 photos.
Nice use of the filter there.
Yeah. So whenever something was impossible to capture by the 3D laser scanner, we were using the 360-degree camera. Oh, this is not the right example. Yeah, which kind of completes the picture of how the space looks.
What camera were you using as well? I'm guessing people will be curious. Is it the one I suggested? I saw it on the slide.
Yes, yes. Maybe you can suggest it later. I forget the name of it, or the model name.
But it was low cost, right? I mean, to get one of those and start to collect that data.
Yeah, it's a pretty cheap solution and very powerful.
Cool.
Okay, so also we use markups whenever the documentation wasn't correct. So here I have a few stamps showing where the drawing was incorrect. So there is a duct missing. So we use the markups to visualize this and to help us model it later. Let's jump into the 3D space, where we can also see all the issues. The ability to filter the issues was very helpful because since there is a lot of devices to be discovered, the model gets kind of filled up with issues, and if we reset all the filters, we'll see basically the model. Oh, yeah, now we can see. So this is how dense the issues, and yeah. So here we have issues for all the different technologies visible. We have lighting fixtures. And yeah, all the other things. So the ability to filter this is very nice. So when we want to see only 360-degree photos, just turn on the preset filter, and there we go. So then after the field mapping, we were able to import the point clouds, compare them with the models, and create a more detailed model of the terminal. Let's have a little walkthrough. Okay, here I have an example of a comparison, 3D model with the point cloud. It's quite impressive how Revizto can handle large data of point clouds and show them in a very fast way and easy to navigate also, which is not usually the case. So when you use point clouds in Revit, for example. So except for these stamps for tracking our devices, we were using Revizto as a communication tool or modeling tasks or tracking our modeling tasks. So we also create stamps for some modeling issues, which the person working on the 3D model can just use for keeping track of their own tasks and, for example, going to the field again and mapping what wasn't mapped well in the initial mapping. I guess that's it from the demonstration. So if anyone has any question, I'll be happy to answer.
That was great, Daniel. Really, really interesting. So it's interesting, actually, we've got a couple of customers on the call who are asking questions and answering them at the same time. So they actually confirmed for us it's a Ricoh Zeta V360, which is the one that I use as well. So that's perfect. Any questions for Daniel coming through there, Sasha? Or any from yourself or your? And we have some of your friends from a number of airports in Germany. Any questions from them?
Mm-hmm. We have one question for you, Daniel. Are you able to automatically compare accuracy between design model and point cloud to help with construction progress?
No, I'm afraid no. It's been just visual comparison.
Yeah, that's one for us, I suppose. There are other tools out there that will allow you to do that, where you can sort of clash between point clouds and models. And there's a number of interesting sort of startup companies that are doing that. We're working with one of them called Scaled Robotics. Go and check them out, and they'll be able to then feed that data through into Revizto via a BCF. So, yeah. Well, I think you've joined the Revizto family a little later on from Casey and Toby, Daniel. So it looks like you've had incredible success in the last couple of months alone. So what's next for the airport now? You've done quite a lot. So is it just a case of continuing with that success? Are there any?
There is still a lot to do. We just started with one part of the terminal, so now there's all the hard work to be done, and we have to finish working on the Terminal 1.
What's been would you say the most successful part of implementing Revizto over the last couple of months for yourselves? If you could pick one highlight, I guess.
Highlight. There are many highlights. So
that's the answer we wanted.
Mention one.
I think your presentation covered that.
Yeah, but what I wanted to mention maybe is that we were happy that our colleagues who had no previous experience with any BIM models were able to pick up Revizto quite quickly, and they're really happy to use it. They got their iPads, they go to the field and are able to collect the data and communicate with the rest of the team or with the VDC specialists. So this is a thing I appreciate a lot on Revizto, that people like using.
Oh, perfect. Toby, Casey, any questions from Daniel or common lessons learned? Whilst you do that, I'm going to share.
I think I'd agree with Daniel. I mean, the usability is one of those key things, and I think any of us who have used clash detection tools in the past know how complex that is, but there are parts of the team who don't need to use those tools. They just need to view the results. Mm-hmm. And this tool just enables the navigation of and the tracking of various different design coordination issues in a much more slick manner than other solutions we've seen.
Perfect. I just wanted to, one of the questions or one of the points you mentioned, Toby, was that switchback facility, which is actually a really important part. So whenever we're creating tasks, stamps, bringing in clashes, Revizto is based on the coordinate system. So what that allows the user to do, or the person that's been assigned this task, is literally synchronize their authoring tool to Revizto by basically pointing it to the right project that Toby or Daniel has invited them to. They double click on that blue box here in Revizto, and that will take them directly to that area with a section box cut in their Tekla model, MicroStation model, Revit model instantly. So there's no sort of time wasted. Where is that? Or potentially changing the wrong thing. And that works as well with 2D information. So in here, I think I've got, here we go. If this drawing is now loaded in this Revit file, here we go, which it is, that will take me directly to that drawing. So the idea is around communicating in a more efficient digital way that we can track what's going on, regardless if that's a design related issue, a coordination, site inspection. Revizto's a simple and lightweight tool to use, but it's quite versatile. So a couple of other things then for myself. So we've just entered into open beta of version 5. So if any of you are customers, then I'd encourage you to go and check that out. We'll send through some information in an email in follow up to this. Today's session has been recorded, so that it'll be available for you to watch again and share with your colleagues. If you like what you see, then contact myself, Sasha, or your sort of local rep wherever you're based, and we can offer you the ability to go and try Revizto for yourself. Quite clearly, you've seen from our clients today the value that Revizto has to offer, and we encourage you to try that for yourself. So I think we've covered everything. We're bang on time, so I'll leave the floor open now to a few more questions if there are any, but if they're not, thank you for taking the time to register and dial in today, and a big thanks to Casey, Daniel and Toby for sharing your amazing stories. It's been really useful for us to hear what you guys have been up to, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhys.
Perfect. All right, thanks everybody. I'll leave you get back to it, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care.